Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State speaks on the NSAS report and the need for peace. It's 14 days ago. Justice Okobi panel submitted his report. It promises to release the report today. And President Muhammad Buhari promises to go after ghost workers as efforts to fight corruption under his government, he said, is still very much on. Hello everyone, welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Seun Kuti, Channels Television, Abuja. We're keeping tabs on the report submitted to the Lagos State government by the NSAS panel of inquiry over allegations of police brutality and the incident which occurred on the 20th of October 2020 at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos. Today, the Lagos State governor has spoken. The Justice Doris Okoebe-led panel submitted his report 14 days ago, and there are indications that that report and the details may be far-reaching. But the Lagos State government says a white paper on the report will be released in 2 weeks, and which ends today. It is a 0 day. Our eyes are on the matter, and we are hoping any moment from now the report will be released to the public by the Lagos State government. And that's exactly why we are here tonight and what we'll be staying on the program today on the issue of the NSAS report, what Governor Sanwo-Olu said, those things that he asked for from the people of Lagos State and Nigeria at large, what this means for justice delivery in Nigeria. We'll be delving into that in just a moment. Let's tell you that President Muhammad Buhari believes that a lot of work has been done in fighting corruption in Nigeria under his administration. He gave instances of efforts made under this government in that respect, like introduction of the Treasury single account, but is frowned at the insistence of some persons to perpetrate corrupt practices, especially ghost workers who make the wage bill unreasonable. He says he will go after them. He was speaking at a third national summit on diminishing corruption in public sector.
Government from the activities of the ICPC that some MDAs have devised the fraudulent practice of presenting new projects as ongoing projects. Necessary action and sanctions will continue against the heads of such errant MDAs. Those who illegally bring in personnel into the public workforce by illegal recruitment, those who paid their personal payroll, those who retain ghost workers must be and will be severely punished. I have to digress a bit here. When we came, we found out some institutions, some say company, they may have as many as 100 accounts. How can the Auditor General or Accountant General trace them? But we introduced Treasury single account so that all revenues will be followed and they will be directed to Treasury single account. From there to wherever the allocation may go. So this is a very positive way of making sure that all revenues can be traced to Treasury single account and therefore be accounted for.
Well, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Mohammed, also stated the role of the judiciary in fighting corruption at that same event. Take a listen to the CJN.
The rating of the country on the Corruption Perception Index by the Global Anti-Corruption Agency, Transparency International, though gradually improving, is still not something to cheer about. More work is required and concerted efforts need to be injected to lift us up to the desired pedestal. Your topic, cost of governance, new imperative for the judiciary, is very apt and strategic in view of the perception of the country vis-a-vis its various institutions and agencies by the international community and even the citizens of Nigeria.
Well, you heard the CGN there and President Muhammadu Buhari on the issue of corruption fight in Nigeria. But that's not our focus for today. Our focus is on what Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said earlier this afternoon in Lagos in respect of the NSAS report, the Justice Doris Okwebe panel report that was submitted. We understand that the white paper that we have created a countdown over right here on Channels Television will be released any moment from now. As soon as that is done, of course, we'll get you in the know. But before we delve into that matter, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The High Court ruling in Abuja has sacked the All Nigeria Progressive Congress APC-led EXCO loyal to Governor Umar Ganduje of Kano State, while upholding the parallel Congress faction of Senator Ibrahim Shekarau on Tuesday. The ruling was given by Justice Hamza Muazu, who granted all the relief sought. The court also declared deposed Emir Mohammed Sanusi's banishment as unlawful and has prayed the Kano State government to apologize publicly to the deposed Emir and pay a sum of 10 million naira as compensation. The Kano State government is, however, not taking the judgment laying low, as it questions the choice of taking the jurisdiction to Abuja instead of Kano. The Senate, through its Committee on Interior, is inviting the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Haliru Nababa, to direct them to investigate the status of correctional centers nationwide, with a view to finding out the challenges in order to prevent a repetition. This formed part of resolutions reached by the upper chamber following a motion on terror attacks on 2 communities in Plateau North and the jailbreak at the Jos Medium Security Correctional Center in Plateau State. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has filed a 2 billion naira defamation suit against the Chief Executive Officer of Sunrise Power and Transmission Company Limited over some alleged libelous publications made in 2 national dailies against him. In a suit before a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Fashola accused Mr. Adesanya of making false and downgrading publications in The Guardian and This Day newspapers of January the 11th and the 16th, 2019, in respect of the Mambila Power Project. In the said publications, Mr. Adesanya allegedly accused Mr. Fashola of frustrating the completion of the Mambila Power Project and engaging in acts of corruption in relation to the project while serving as Minister of Power, Works and Housing.
Nigerians, it is now 14 days since the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu received the report of the NSAS panel led by Justice Doris Okwebe. And today, the governor says his government is committed to justice and truth as it relates to the report of the state's NSAS panel. The state government says it will release the white paper today, and we're hoping that will happen any moment from now. We continue to wait to find out what it entails in details. The governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, today in Lagos at an address and a press conference is seeking peace and has asked for a work for peace, identifying some of the members of the NSAS protest to lead with him in that work. But first, let me allow you to listen to, in parts, what the governor said. First and foremost, he was talking about the report, the incident, the premise on which this whole thing really happened. Take a listen to Governor Sanwo-Olu.
We have no intention to engage in historics or further inflame the passion on a matter that has generated intense interest and conversation both nationally and internationally. Our decision and our actions will be based entirely on the law, the weight of evidence, and an unblemished respect for the truth. Let me at this junction say that I have never been in any doubt as to the sincerity, the patriotism and the noble motivations of both the organizers and the participants in the movement to an end of the human rights abuses by the now disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. It is also on record that the federal government accepted all the demands of the protesters, including the immediate scrapping of SARS. The National Economic Council, NEC, also recommended the establishment of state panels of inquiry into cases of police brutality. And the Lagos State government was the very first to set up its own panel. I can boldly say that no state took the advocacy of police reform and justice in the face of the documented brutality more seriously than we did in Lagos. We have so far paid over 400 million in the compensation to victims of police brutality in line with the recommendations of the panel.
So you can hear in parts what the governor said. There are a lot that we need to play for you, for those of you who couldn't catch it earlier. But let's get the conversation started. And I'm going to start tonight with one person, a lawyer, who participated wholly in all of this process, the NSAS panel, and the process leading to asking for compensation, some of the victims who appeared and all of that. Mr. Olumide Fushika is in our Lagos studio. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Fushika, for joining us tonight. You heard, first and foremost, let's begin from the soundbite that we first of all played to our viewers tonight. The governor spoke about what led to what the effort of the Lagos State government, what led to the setting up of the panel, and some of the outcome of the panel's work, how much of compensation that has been paid or released. But from your own standpoint, being someone who has been in the middle and the center of all of this for the past few months, we are hearing the governor speak for the first time in the last 14 days on this matter. What's your view on the governor's stance?
Well, thanks for inviting me. But let me start by correcting or clarifying a statement that you made in your introduction. My participation was not to seek compensation for anybody, and we never made any claim for compensation. My participation there was simply regarding the incidents of 2010-2020 at the Lekki toll gate, which was simply to find out what happened. And I, on my part, simply went there to represent, as part of the team that represented the protesters at the panel, which was because after the event, after it had happened, you began to hear stories that what happened there was a Nollywood movie, people were making up stories, army was not there, there was no gunshot, people did not die, and so on and so forth, you know. So all we went there to do was to present from the side of the protesters the evidence available as to what happened that night and early morning. That was what we went there to do. I never requested compensation on behalf of anybody. Of course, there were people, you know, the intention of, I keep on saying it was supposed to be a public relations thing. If it was set up originally to calm frayed nerves and to give the impression that the governor of the state was doing something about what happened. So initially what they were doing was, okay, you make your complaint, in year so, a policeman hit you and then you lost a teeth or something. Okay, take 100,000. And so that the governor can boast thereafter that I've compensated people. But that wasn't my own concern. That wasn't my own business. That went on for some time. Mine was simply to help us understand that this event of 2010 happened and that all the efforts being made thereafter to tell lies, to give the impression that nothing happened that night. This is the evidence we have in support of the NSAS protesters to show that this happened. and people should stop telling lies and trying to cover up. That was what we went there to do.
So, but from what you heard the governor say today, for the frayed nerves, like you, I mean, points taking about the correction on the issue of seeking compensation, but from what you heard the governor say, in relation to what has happened, holistically speaking, what's your view on the frayed nerves and the effort of the government today?
Well, I think that, you know, as governor of the state, I've listened to what he said. It's the responsibility of the governor and the government to ensure that, you know, the thing is getting out of hand for them. He talks about peace, but I remember the reggae crooner. I can't remember, I can immediately remember his name. Everybody is talking about peace, but nobody is talking about justice. The first condition for peace is justice. And I think that if he's talking about justice, he cannot be a judge in his own cause. He has set up a panel to inquire into what happened on 2010-2020 at the Lekki toll gate. All sides, including himself, including the governor himself, appeared before the tribunal, presented the evidence they had on their side. The governor's position was that nothing happened. It was an Nollywood movie. People did not die. Army was not there, and so on and so forth. That was his position. He presented the evidence on his side. We presented the evidence on our side. Other people came to present evidence. And the tribunal sifted through the evidence presented. It's a fact-finding panel. It's not, we didn't even go there to do law. It's bring the evidence that is available. The tribunal has sifted through all the evidence and come out with a report and conclusion that contrary to what both the federal and the state government were trying to do to, you know, sort of pull the wool over the eyes of the people, because obviously, you know, they are not afraid of us, the people they are governing. They are afraid of the international community. They can do anything they like with us. We are nothing to them. That's the truth, you know. But because of the interest that the international community piqued in this matter, how can you use soldiers who are supposed to be fighting for, you know, engaging? How can you use soldiers to go and quell a peaceful demonstration? This may, the things that happened there is subject to, you know, investigation and so on and so forth. That was what scared them, you know. And then they came to, oh no, nothing happened and so on and so forth. It is that narrative that we went to the tribunal to disprove, that we will not fold our arms and allow you to call black white. You knew what happened. You didn't need any tribunal to tell us what happened. Let me give you examples to show you that they knew what happened that night before they started changing the story. I keep on citing the example of the governor asking us to fly our flags at half-mast, declaring 3 days of mourning. Over what? If people didn't die there, why are you declaring days of mourning? The vice president of our own vice president, Professor Shibaju, you know, we have statements that he issued acknowledging that something horrible happened at Lekki toll gate 2010. These are people that get the security reports, not Minister Mohammed. People that he had, you know. And in that statement, he said he acknowledged that things went horribly there, and that he actually spoke with some of the victims. So when Minister Mohammed comes on the air to be saying things, is he saying that the vice president lied? That the vice president did not speak with some of the victims as he claimed in the press release he made? Our attorney general came out to say, well, he didn't deny that the army and so on did anything there. What he said was that, I have the statement where he said, where it was some hoodlums wearing military uniform that carried out the horrible thing that happened at that place. Even recently, our president himself, I think during his interview with Arise TV, when he was asked about what happened at the Lekki toll gate, said that there were people, you know, oh, those people that gathered to overthrow his regime. And you know that in this climb, when people are accused of being in active effort or in active move to overthrow a government, you know what happens to them now, you know. So all these high officials of state know that the events of 2020 happened. They are not denying it. It's just that they are afraid of, and really they don't care. They will do it again tomorrow, next tomorrow. The fear was because the international community came, it became an international embarrassment to them. People were already threatening about taking some people to the International Criminal Court and so on and so forth. So when they saw the reaction from outside Nigeria, not the one, they don't respect us, like I said. We are nothing to them. They can kill us and, nothing will happen. When they saw the reaction, that was when they now, gathered and said, okay, we have to deny this thing and so on and so forth. So when Minister Mohammed comes on here to be saying, oh, DJ Swiji didn't do this and so on and so forth, is he saying that the vice president of our country, the respected vice president lied when he said, I spoke with some of the victims and was commiserating with those who lost their lives and so on and so forth? Is he saying that, the vice president lied? Is he saying that the Attorney General of the Federation lied when he acknowledged that something happened there, but it was people, hoodlums in military uniform that did it? So they all know what happened there. So all setting up committees, setting up panel was just to give the impression that we are doing something about it. And they came there, to start to challenge the truth, to call black, white, and so on and so forth. The panel has now come up with a report saying, contrary to the effort you are making to deny the truth, this happened. That's the fundamental thing. And I think with that, we have achieved our, objective of going to the panel.
Mr. Fushika.
Yes,
yeah.
Please.
Let me allow you to also listen, our viewers to also listen, because a lot of people probably did not catch Governor Sanwo-Olu speaking earlier. But let me allow our viewers to also listen to this portion of his speech when he was talking about the setting up of a public complaint system and the coordination of security forces should this kind of situation arise again. Take a listen to him.
Going forward, dear Lagosians, we shall facilitate better communication between our youth and the state security machinery to resolve issues before they become intractable. We will make it easier for our young people to initiate formal complaints of any human rights violation through our Ministry of Justice. We will also improve the coordination between the state government and the security agencies, including the police and the military. In this vein, we are studying how to improve security policy formulation, information sharing, and clearly rules of engagement in terms of social unrest.
Yeah, so Mr. Fushika, you can hear him there on what should be done going forward. There's another part of what the governor said earlier today, and it's about him seeking peace, and he's planning a peace walk. I'd like our viewers to also listen to it. There are a few people that he has called to join him on that peace walk. Take a listen to Governor Sanwo-Olu on the peace walk.
Just as we have established the mechanism, dear Lagosians, this month of December, I'll be leading a walk of peace to herald the healing of our land. Let me therefore use this occasion to extend an open invitation to all of our youths, members of the diplomatic corps, civil society groups, students, gentlemen of the press, media, and other stakeholders to join me. I want Polani Palanon, popularly called Fowls. I would want Debo Adebayo, Mr. Macaroni. I want an activist lawyer, Mr. Dele Farotimi. I would want Temitope Majekodumi. I would want Mr. Segun Awosonya. I want Adetong, just Detong, who draws me every day. I want legendary son of Fela Seun Kuti. I will also want the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Akim Odumosu. I want the Commander of the RRS, CSP Yinka Egbeyemi, to join me on this historic march for our dear Lagos.
So the governor mentioned a few of those he wants to see beside him in a peace walk, and we have one of them join us tonight on the program. Debo Adedayo, popularly called Mr. Macaroni, is a comedian and actor. Thank you so much, Mr. Macaroni, for joining us tonight. You heard your name in that press conference by the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. How does this come to you? I guess you are preparing yourself for that peace walk. If you can hear me, Debo, you heard your name on as one of those the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says he wants to see to lead the peace walk in the aftermath of all of these that happened in Lagos and going forward, seeking peace and harmony in the state. What's your position on that? I guess you are preparing yourself for that peace walk.
Jamie?
Yes, Mr. Macaroni, go ahead. Yeah. We can hear you now.
Okay, well done. So, yes, we saw the news. In fact, they do one or two things as we hear the news. I think what is on ground is very simple. It's simple. The Lagos State government herself set up a panel for reconciliation, for sake of peace, for sake of justice, and so that we can all move on, knowing fully well that justice will be served. But now the panel has presented their report. The next line of action will be for the government to implement the recommendations of the panel. Anything contrary to that takes us back to square one, where there's so much distrust. It's part of the problems that led us to where we are today. There's a lack of trust between the people and the government. So, time immemorial, anything where once it don't concern government, you say, don't mind them, this or that one. I think government should have taken cue. We should have looked at how can we bridge this gap between the people that we are supposed to be serving, that we claim to serve. How can we bridge this gap, and finally come together and say, look, we trust ourselves. So the next line of action for me would be that, having presented the findings from that said panel, now the government themselves, now do this, inaugurate this panel. And I mean, look at the speeches the governor has made, how he has, in fact, there was a time on social media, even yes, before now, on social media, everywhere, when people talk, especially government, especially supporters of government, when they talk, you hear them and they say, maybe they've set up panel for you people. Any complaint you have, any this thing, you go and make it there. Anybody that is aggrieved, go there. The panel will listen to you and they will come up with their findings. So that was the mantra at the time. But when the results came out and maybe it did not favor them, then we're now going back and forth. We're not going distrust. That's the problem we're having. So for me, it's not about a piece of work. You won't find me there. I'm not going to be there. And work of peace, rather. Work of peace. No, we are not at war. What we are saying is that the government should come to terms with the people. Lives have been lost. People have died. People have been threatened. People have been beaten up, dehumanized. I'm a living testimony. They carry me, then beat me. So I'm shocked. If you're calling me for a walk now, that's another, you are inviting me for another round of beating. You want to beat me up? You want to share me in front of everybody again? That's what you want to do. And sorry, excuse me, no. So what we need to see a sign of good faith. If the governor of Lagos State, my governor, is coming out and is saying, oh, look, we have gotten the results from the panel. This is what we are doing. Justice will be served. We want to round up all the people that, all the culprits. We want to, and we are saying it will be easier to trust the government, but not with this. No, sorry.
All right, please, Debo, stay with me because there's still much to talk about this. You are, as you said, you're a living testimony of what happened. You witnessed it, you are firsthand. But we need to take a break. And when we come back, we'll be engaging Debo and Mr. Olumide Fushikemo is the senior advocate of Nigeria. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back on what Governor Sanwo-Olu said today on the NSAS panel report. He said that a white paper will be released, and we are hoping that that may happen in the course of the program. And when that happens, we'll bring highlights of what that means to you tonight. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. So we're still expecting that the white paper that should come after the committee's work of 14 days should be released today. That is the expectation, and that is what the Lagos State governor said when he addressed to the press today in Lagos about the NSAS report and some of the agitation that came afterwards. So I've been speaking with Mr. Olumide Fushika, a senior advocate of Nigeria in our Lagos studio, and virtually is Mr. Debo Adedayo, popularly called Mr. Macaroni. Is a comedian and an actor. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. I know I got you off a meeting, Debo, so let me quickly come back to you. You said you're not going to be part of that work. The governor said in that speech that he's looking for the restoration of peace, a situation where there will be a bridge of the gap between the people and the government. What would you like to tell the governor tonight if this is his view on creating peace and rebuilding Lagos from the crisis we saw from last year, 20th of October last year? What is your opinion on how do you think they can go about this?
Okay, so first, let me clarify that no one is at war with the government. If anyone is at war, maybe personally, not me. Why? It's funny, isn't it? How can we be at war with the government? We don't have the guns that the government has. We don't have their might, their strength. The government is very powerful. We know that. So I'm not even nobody. I don't think anybody in Nigeria is looking for war right now. All we want is peace. Yes. But the government must not forget that they are accountable to the people that they as leaders have sworn to serve and to protect. That is leadership. That is governance. Good governance. That's what it's supposed to be about. So it's a sign, let's say 2%, a sign of good faith that the governor is talking about peace. It's good. But I'm sorry, I don't think a walk is the solution. We have had walks in the past. It was in the process of walking that peaceful protesters were shot at. It was the process of walking that people like me and a lot of others have been beaten up, threatened, harassed. Till now, some of us are still suffering because we have decided to walk. So, lasting peace and unity amongst all Lagosians, amongst all Nigerians, that our own peaceful walk could not bring about, that they had to be sending hoodlums, this we are hearing, they hijack this, they hijack that. I'm always curious. Why is it that a lot of times when they are doing events, you see rallies here, hoodlums don't hijack. But when the people say they are tired of something, when the people want to make their views heard, we will always say that they hijack. And then I'm sorry, because now a lot of people have started to say, they are calling you for a work of peace. Go now. Shebi is a sign of good faith. No, the sign of good faith will be that, well, we are all still waiting for the white paper. Let's even see and hear what was said. But temporarily, what will be a sign of good faith for me is that the panel that the government themselves set up has presented. They've presented the report, their findings, and they have made recommendations. The sign of good faith will be that these recommendations are being processed, and and you are saying, oh yes, all these things that these people have said, apology. I mean, you have to first acknowledge. It's not about trying to say this one, say that one. No, you have to acknowledge in plain terms what happened. Did this happen? Oh yes, it happened. oh, we accept, we acknowledge the fact that this has happened, and then these are the steps that we are going to take to correct it. So, but now if you want to, okay, so that means we're just going to take a walk of peace, then we are just walking. What happens after the walk? Does that bring justice to the lives that have been lost, to the families that have been rendered homeless, a lot of them? We need to critically think about these things. So the government should,
all right,
especially sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, I wanted to ask you, because now the government says today they will release a white paper. You're asking that the white paper should be released, and you want to see the good effort from the government side. And should you see any positive movement towards what you want within the coming days before the walk? Is it possible that you change your mind to join the walk?
Oh yes, I'm a man of peace, so I love peace, I love peace, but we need to be sure that we are going about this in the right way. I mean, if the government should come out and say that, oh, they accept the findings of the panel they themselves set up and start the process of implementing the recommendations of the panel, oh yes, why not? It's the sign of good faith. But what I personally, I can't speak for others. Anything I say, I'm speaking personally. I can't speak for others. But what I personally would not accept is that the events that happened that day and other days after, it's just been thrown away. And they're saying, oh, look, maybe let everybody just forget about it. Let's use a walk of peace to erase all that. It's not possible. For someone like me, right, it's not possible.
Debo,
all my I will continue to remember. Yeah, sorry, go.
So two quick questions before I know you're filming, as I understand. Let me get this straight. Two quick questions. One, the government says they want closure. For someone like you who was at the center of this protest and you were arrested from what I gathered and all of that, what would be a closure for you?
Closure now, Baba, now which I don't talk so. Closure would be justice. That would be closure. Closure would be justice and steps to be taken to ensure that what happened the last time does not repeat itself ever again in this country. Look, boss, we are in Lagos State. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had cause to personally stop seeing maybe some police officers, they corner one guy somewhere. What I'm saying is police brutality has not stopped. Extortion, intimidation from security agencies has not stopped. So what will be closure is that, first, justice for all victims. Then, working assiduously to ensure that something like that does not happen again and that Nigerian youths are free from all of this pain that we are going through right now. It is too much. It is too much.
All right. So my final question to you, Debo, tonight will be, the NSAS protesters were asking for 5 for 5. I remember that slogan, 5 for 5. Is that 5 for 5 from your own standpoint? Any meeting of the minds between the government and the people? Have you seen any meeting of the minds on the 5 for 5 agenda? Because that is the primary point to which we started this whole conversation. And now we're looking into moving forward afterwards. Is that 5 for 5? Has it been met?
The 5 for 5, if you look at the 5 for 5, this thing, if I remember some points there, police reform, justice for victims. This thing where we see the hammer, justice for victims. To the best of my knowledge, a lot of things have not been addressed. And let's say that 5 for 5 just happens to be a maybe summary of the major challenges that we are facing. You understand? So right now, look, it was same channels TV. I just see one video. I just saw one video last week. Are you with me now? That video, far back as I don't know the year now, but about maybe 8 years ago, Channels TV did a documentary. The documentary is on YouTube. I even want to share it on my social media now about the state of police college. people under police officers that are supposed to come out to serve the people and protect the people, the lives and properties of the people. Babami, check the condition. And people need to see that video. 15 naira, as what I watched, 15 naira per meal is what these people are entitled to. You need to see where they sleep. You need to see their bathrooms. Where you need to see the state of living in that place. And come and tell me how these people will come out and serve in the interest of the people. Someone needs to come out after watching that video and help me to understand how that is going to be possible. So there are a lot of problems that have still not been addressed. And all the people are saying is, look, I cannot have faith. I cannot have hope, trust in the government if I'm still working, I'm still going about my daily activities, and I'm seeing my brother or my sister still being harassed by the police, still being threatened, still being intimidated. There is no victory. Nothing has happened. We're just going back and back and back and back again. So for now, I don't think anything has been done. We have lost that sign of good faith that I keep insisting on. We have not seen it. The government needs to show that they are serious with the people. We wait and they serve. Now wait and they serve. So we need to see that they are taking us very seriously. And how do they start? They begin by implementing this simple thing where the same judicial panel say them do justice for the people. Bring people to even carry some people, use them, do example to others. Say, look, okay, we have seen you have been found guilty, blah, blah, blah. Let us feel some justice. Apologize. Call the people, the families that have been affected, compensate them where necessary. A lot of things that are written here. Let us see that the government is ready to listen to us.
Debo Adedayo, popularly called Mr. Macaroni, one of those who were at the forefront of the NSAS protest. His name was also mentioned today by the Lagos governor. He wanted him to join in the peace walk. Debo, thank you so much for talking to us right here on China's television. I appreciate your time that you have spared.
Very much. Very much.
Thank you. I understand that Seun Kuti, a son of the legendary musician whose name was also mentioned by the Lagos State governor in that speech today, has since joined us virtually also. Seun, thank you so much for joining in tonight on the program. Your name was mentioned as one of those that should be part of the peace walk. Okay, I understand that, so we'll get him ready in a moment. But let me go back to Mr. Fushika. Senior Advocate, give us a sense of what to make, because when we saw the clashes between and the aftermath of that 20th of October 2020, a lot of police officers were killed. Police stations were burnt down, were destroyed, infrastructure were being destroyed around Lagos and in several cities of the country. What happens to these police officers from your own point of view? What should be done? Because in all of the speech, I'm not sure I've seen so much of attention to these police officers and their families.
Well, you know that when you are facing government, you have a lot of propaganda, you know, counterparts and so on and so forth. This was what, you know, whilst on the one hand denying that anything happened on 2010, 2020 at the toll gate, on the other hand, they were trying to say, oh, it was because they attacked police officers, they killed police officers. That was why, that as a form of justification for whatever it was that they did on the day. At the tribunal, and the records are there, when they came up with these stories, we were able to puncture them largely. Don't get me wrong, policemen died, you know. Some police stations were burnt. Nobody supports that, but my own focus remains what happened at the toll gate on that day. Many of these things that they were banding about actually happened in reaction, no justification again, in reaction to, you know, for instance, the attack on the Oba's Palace, the court where I work, didn't happen on 2010, 2020. Some of the police stations they are talking about didn't happen on 2010, 2020. It happened, maybe people were reacting angry to, the events of 2010, 2020. So everything lies...
So, Fishika, apologies to cut in.
Yes.
So let me bring in Seun Kuti, who I understand has since joined us now. Thank you so much, Seun, for joining us. Seun is a popular highlight. I see you sipping water there. Thank you so much, Seun. Is that in preparation for the Walk for Peace?
This is Agbo. My brother, I told you I wasn't feeling too, I'm sipping Agbo, because I'm trying to get my health up. That's why I'm not in the studio with you. Upon my arrival from South Africa, I was diagnosed with COVID. It's not Omicron. I don't know what they call it. So I
hope that you take care of yourself.
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah. But Seun, tell us, the governor mentioned your name as...
I'm here.
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
All right, so the governor mentioned your name as one of those he wants to see beside him for the peace walk. I guess you're preparing for that. Are you hoping to look for peace in Lagos?
I want peace after justice. Me, I always, if anybody follows me, they know that me, I'm a very normal guy that wants things to happen the way they should happen. I'm not one that does things because I want popularity or people to like me or to gain access to anybody. I don't need to walk next to the governor before there's peace in Lagos. There have been peace in Lagos for many years that nobody had to walk anywhere for it. It is the thing that destroyed the peace that we should look to sort. And to sort it out right now is only justice can do that. And we all know that there's no peace anywhere in this world without justice. To buttress the point that was being made before about the burning of the police stations and all of that, I also took my own time to investigate some of these claims by the government. I went to Orile in Igomu. The first report of police station being burnt and things like that and policemen being killed was in Orile the next day after 2010. The next day, 2110. Only to find out that the police had killed in response, not even in response to what happened in the toll gate. And also, found out that in many of the areas that this action against police people happened, the police went on subsequently to murder people in those neighborhoods. So even when we talk about Lekki massacre, not only in Lekki, people lost their lives during that period, and to sweep all of those lives under the carpet and act like people just went to police stations because they were angry about what happened in Lekki, is not even really telling the true story of what happened that week in Lagos. And the fact that the governor himself is still touting only these people burn police station, police people were killed. He acts as if he's not the governor of everybody. How about those people that lost their lives in those neighborhoods, and things like that. As I always say, it's a shame that in Africa we are ruled by a mindset, a narrative. Both is in the professional world, is in the elite business, elite political world, where things are more valuable than people to us. We venerate things, we raise things to this level of value where human life is now. So I always say, okay, the punch buses, whatever they want to say was destroyed in Lagos. How many buildings is equal to one African life? I think we need to have a debate or a conversation or a symposium in Nigeria to determine how many buildings is what a human life. Because this is the problem. We must stop venerating things over the life of people. If one human life is lost in Africa.
Seun, So you mentioned something that was very critical. You said justice before the work. What exactly do you mean? And what do you hope could happen? Would you still be able to have the work if you see justice?
No. If there's justice, then we can discuss peace. And there will be no need to work for peace. Because justice itself is the work of peace. You understand? The governor should walk the walk he's talking about by giving us justice. Justice will bring that work. That's the job of justice. We are not justice. See, this is what I say about oppressors. Oppressors think they are everybody. Tyrants think they are everybody. You understand? Justice is what needs to work. The governor is not an embodiment of justice. Seun Kuti is not an embodiment of justice. Files is not an embodiment of justice. Mr. Macaroni or any other name, Egmondele Faroti is not an embodiment of justice. Justice is justice. Let justice work for peace. Don't suddenly appropriate justice, the work of justice to yourself because you are governor of Lagos and you feel you have the power and the police and the army to declare work. You know, as Macaroni said on his page, the last time he went to work for peace, they beat him up. You know, so but now we can work in peace.
All right.
You know,
Seun, because of our time now. On a final note, Seun, on a final note, just in about 30 seconds, what do you think that the government, the big lesson out of this, what do you think that is, and what do you think government should do? Just in 30 seconds.
Nobody knows tomorrow. That's the big lesson here. I was going to launch MOP. They banned me from launching MOP and the shrine. He said, Governor, surround the shrine with all the police in Africa. Now he wants to call me to work for peace. I just apologize for stopping me from doing my MOP. So I beg. That's no. Now he's calling me.
Thank you so much, Seun Kuti, son of legendary musician Fela Kuti. Seun Kuti himself, a high life musician. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Well, Mr. Olumide Fushika, senior advocate of Nigeria, who also joined us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Fushika, for your time today. But that's our program today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seun Kuti. Bye for now.